Today we're going to do 8.4 areas of composite figures. Alright, to find areas of composite figures, first you're going to divide the figure into smaller familiar shapes. You're going to look for those circles, squares, rectangles, triangles, parallelograms, and triangles in the shape and divide them into those shapes. Then you're going to find the area of each individual shape. You're going to do that by using the formula sheet that I've provided. It might be smart to print that out so that you have it next to you as you're working through these problems. The most important step is at the end. You're either going to add or subtract to find the area of the composite figure. You're never going to do both. You're either going to add or you're going to subtract in all the problems that I'm going to give you. So let's take a look at the first one. Directions say find the area of the shaded region. So the first thing I want to look for is what shapes do I see? Well, the first shape that I see is a square. And it's 8 by 8, so they're the same length. Second one that I see is a circle. That's the first step. Then what you're going to do is you're going to find the area of each shape using that formula sheet. So the first one is square. So I am going to do the formula for a square, which is A equals S squared. That's the formula. And S stands for the sides, and the side length of the square is 8. And I'm going to put that in my calculator, and I'm going to get 64 square inches. Remember, area is squared. It's the number of squares is going to fill the object. Second one is a circle. Again, we're doing area, so we want to make sure we do the area formula for a circle, which is A equals pi r squared. Pi is 3.14. And we need the radius, so going back to my figure here, this 8 is going all the way across. So that means that 8 is the diameter, so the radius of that is going to be 4, so 4 squared. I'm going to plug that into my calculator, and I'm going to get 50.24 inches squared. The last step is I'm going to find the area of the shaded region. So I have to figure out, am I going to add those numbers or am I going to subtract those numbers? Since I only want the shaded part, that means there's a hole in the middle. Whenever there's a hole, we're going to subtract. So area, I'm going to put a T there for total. It's going to be 64 minus 50.24. And I'm going to get 13.76 inches squared. And that is the area of the shaded region. All right, number 2. Again, looking for familiar shapes. First one I see is a semicircle. Second one I see is a rectangle. Now I'm going to find the area of those. So the first one is a semicircle, and it's going to be A equals pi r squared. But it's a half circle, so I need to divide that by 2. 3.14. I need the radius, so 12 is the same as this one here. This one's going to be 12. So the radius of that is going to be 6. And divide that by 2. I'm going to plug that into my calculator, and I'm going to get 56.52 square feet. Second one is a rectangle. And I look on my formula sheet. Rectangle is area equals length times width. The length is 25. The width is 12. Going to multiply that, and I'm going to get 300 square feet. So now I have to find the total. And I have to figure out, am I going to add them or going to subtract them? They're both that dark region, so they both are part of the composite figure, so that means I'm going to add them. So I'm going to do 56.52 plus 300 to get a total area of 356.52 square feet. Okay, number 3, again looking at this shape as a whole, I see a semicircle here, a semicircle down here, a semicircle over here, and then a triangle there in the middle. So first I'm going to do the semicircle. Again, A equals pi r squared divided by 2. And A equals 3.14 times, again the diameter is 4, so the radius would be 2. Plug that into my calculator, and I am going to get 6.28 squared inches. Now shape number 2 is also a semicircle, but it's the same exact semicircle as the first one. You don't need to redo the formula because the answer is going to come out to be the same. So this one's going to be 6.28. Third one is also the same, so we know that one's going to be 6.28. And then the last shape is a triangle. The formula for a triangle is area equals 1/2 times the base times the height. Again, you find that formula on your formula sheet. And one of the nice things about the formula sheet is it will tell you exactly where those numbers are that you need. It'll say it right on there. So the base is the bottom, so that would be 4. The height is the distance from the bottom to the very tippy top, so that's going to be 3. And I'm going to multiply that, and I'm going to get 6 inches squared. All right, again, they're all the shaded part. They're all part of it, so that means I'm going to add. So area of the total is going to be 6.28 plus 6.28 plus 6.28 plus 6, and that is going to equal 24.84 inches squared. All right, number 4. Number 4, this is the first one. We're going to have to divide this one on our own. So what you want to look at is what are the shapes that you see. And we see this rectangle right here. It's very obvious that that's a rectangle, so that's going to be number 1. And this is like an L shape. So L shapes, I like to divide that into 2 different rectangles. So this will be a rectangle here, number 2. And this will be a rectangle here, number 3. And now I'm going to go ahead and solve them. So for the first one, area equals length times width. The length is 13 and the width is 7. And 13 times 7 is 91 centimeters squared. All right, number 2, we have this. We know that this side is 5, but we don't know that side, so we're going to have to use our logic again. So I know that this side is equal to this side. So if I take 20 minus 7, I get 13. And I do minus 7 again, I get 6. So this one is going to be length times width, 5 times 6. And that's 30. And number 3 is exactly the same as number 1, so I don't have to redo the formula there. Area is going to be 91. And this one, all of them are shaded, so I'm going to add them together. And the final answer here is 212 centimeters squared. Now for stuff like this, there actually is multiple ways that you could have broken this shape up, and the important thing is there's not one right way. As long as you find the numbers correctly, you can do it any way that you see the figure. I'd like you to pause the video, and I'd like you to try number 5. Find those shapes, find the areas of each shapes, and decide whether or not you should add them or subtract them. Okay, so I got 150 square inches. That is my final answer. Hopefully that you saw the triangle. Again, use that formula sheet to help you. Again, the base and the height. The base is the bottom. The height is straight up and down, up to the top. The fives aren't needed. The fives are actually there for perimeter. That's going to be kind of a difficult spot, so definitely use your formula sheets. It tells you what numbers to use. The rectangle everybody should have gotten. The one that sometimes gives people difficulty is the trapezoid. This is the trapezoid formula. A equals 1/2 times the height, parenthesis, or times parenthesis, the base 1 plus the base 2. Again, use that formula sheet. It tells you what numbers to use. The height is straight up and down, just like it is in a triangle. That's where the 6 is coming from. And the two bases are the parallel sides. So 18 here at the bottom. And then this top one here, which we have to kind of use our logic, is going to be 6. That's where the 6 comes from and the 18 comes from. When you put it into your calculator, please make sure you put it exactly as written. If you didn't have the parentheses in there, you did not get the correct answer. So put the parentheses in your calculator. Correct answer is 150. Last one for today is number 6, and I want to pick this one because this is a shape that's often forgotten when these problems are done. And when you look at this, a lot of people want to make this into two trapezoids, and trapezoids are probably the most difficult shape to do because of all the numbers and needing the parentheses and things like that. But if I drew a line that went through here, if you can kind of see, it creates... Let me see if I can change the color here for you. That didn't really help. It creates a two parallelograms, and parallelograms are much easier. So what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and do these as two parallelograms. Use the formula sheet, pause the video, and then come back and we'll see if your answer agrees with mine. All right, I got 104. The first parallelogram was 56 square millimeters, and the second one was 48 square millimeters for a total of 104 square millimeters. When you're doing your homework, take your time and do one problem at a time. It might be a good idea to do a problem, then check your answers to that problem to make sure that you did it right, and not do them all and then check them at the end, because you want to make sure that you are figuring out what mistakes you might be making so that you correct them. This is by far the hardest lesson that we do in Chapter 8. So take your time, check your work, and let me know if you have any questions. All right, that's it for today. I hope you have a good one. Take care.